from O'Keefe Media Group, world exclusive, quote, Prince Andrew was underage girls. Tape of royal family advisor exposes Prince Andrew's sexual relations with minors and deep ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And you know what's fascinating is because I'm watching this video from James, and I'm thinking to myself, how in the world is a British family, is the royal family's advisor outright admitting on camera Prince Andrew was doing these things? He's framed it as though he was the victim. He lied to me. I was so mad, I believed him. But he lied. And the reporter from O'Keefe Media Group says, lied about what? And he goes, that he was effing underage girls. So I think this guy knew the whole time. Of course. And I'll say this too. Didn't the royal family like excommunicate Prince Andrew over this?
He didn't do any. He was taken off of any kind of like official duties. I don't think they took his title away, but he was basically, they just shunned him, stuffed him in a closet, and you didn't see him except for at the. Like, no one had seen him in public doing anything official up until, like, for a long time, up until the Queen passed.
They put him in the back room where they put the developmentally disabled royals.
They knew what he was doing. So with this guy, this royal family advisor, okay, there's no way they were unaware of what he was doing with Epstein. They knew that he was flying around with Epstein. They knew that he was on the island. And when these accusations came out, they tried severing ties with them. So my question is, what was the rest of their involvement? Now, we do have the video. The first thing I want to mention is Project Veritas, right behind James O'Keefe. I didn't know that. You got O'Keefe Media Group, Project Veritas right there. I wonder if he's back with them. Was that a thing that happened I missed?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Anyway, let me just play the beginning. Listen to this.
Prince Andrew, he was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. He never saw his family. I was really pissed because he lied to me.
Lied about
Epstein. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew. And then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. No, that he was f***ing underage girls. That's not cool.
John Bryan has been a close confidant to the British royal family for a long time. He worked for Queen Elizabeth II, was, quote, best friends with Princess Diana, and had a long-term intimate relationship with the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson. According to Bryan, he practically raised Sarah Ferguson's children, the princesses Beatrice and Eugene. And Bryan said that he maintained a friendship with Ferguson's husband, the Duke of York, Prince Andrew.
Tell me like your story.
So my story, you want to know my story?
What?
I don't. We learned enough. So this guy, deep ties to the British royal family. He says he learned this. Here's an honest question. Did he learn this in the loose, abstract sense of he read the news one day and assumed it was true? Or is he saying that the British royal family and everyone he knows, they gave him private information and were like, yes, this is true and correct?
I mean, I don't have any kind of...
I ain't giving him the benefit of the doubt.
I have no idea, honestly. Is this guy on the outs? Like, what? Like, is there possibly...
He is now.
Well, now he is. I was just saying, is there possibly an alternative motivation for this? Like, you know, maybe the royal family didn't do nothing wrong.
Perhaps, like, this guy is angry at the royal family. I doubt it. He didn't know that it was being secretly recorded.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing thing that O'Keefe keeps getting away with these hidden camera investigations that he does. And it amazes me still how far so many people are willing to go and what they're willing to say to a young girl that they think they're going to get it on with. Because, I mean, that's what's going on all these O'Keefe setups. And it's kind of outrageous that he's willing to say this to try to attract a young woman, all things considered, because that's what's really going on here.
No, I think he has to say this. Like he mentioned, he said he did this interview in the Daily Mail where he said he believed Andrew. Nobody believes Andrew. So he's coming out saying, I was so pissed because he lied to me. I think this guy knew.
Yeah.
Come on. His degree of involvement with the royal family is too intense. I think the whole royal family knew that Andrew was going and banging underage girls.
Well, I imagine that not only did they know that they knew, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was not really a surprise, but the problem was that word got out, right? Like royal family, people in positions of high power, like there's debauchery that surrounds them consistently because they can get away with it. And I think that because he was not discreet enough that was the actual problem.
I was going to say, do you think the British people are going to be angry that he was also hooking up with minors? Like, because they're very into the global warming thing. So, like, coal miners are persona non grata.
No, I think more so you've got a tendency towards the migrant groups that are coming to the UK that are intentionally targeting minors. There's a decent percent of the population of the UK that's probably going to be like, and?
Yeah.
Considering the gangs, the grooming gangs and all that stuff, that wasn't a joke. Like,
I mean, why doesn't he just say it's a cultural difference that the royals have from the regular British people? And everybody can move on.
They're going to be like, well, at least he wasn't racist,
He said, it would have been funny if he said, when you're royalty, you can do literally anything you want. So I'd like to see someone try to do something about it.
He raped underage girls, but at least he wasn't racist about it. Yeah.
Now, Epstein has been accused of a couple things. One is he would invite people on his plane, and then, like, let's say Elad's, chilling at a party and he's drinking. This is before anyone knew who Epstein was. The accusation is that Epstein would be like, so what do you do? And he'd be like, oh, I'm a journalist. I do this. And he'd be like, oh, that's amazing. It's me. What do you got going on this weekend? He'd say, I'm going to fly back to New York. And he'd be like, hey, I got a jet. You want to fly my PJ? I'll fly back to New York. And someone like Elad goes, what? For real? That sounds amazing. What he would do is he'd bring people onto the plane, people with power, not like just some random reporter, but just as a hypothetical. While they're in the air, teenage girls walk out. And they're hanging out. And he's like, oh, these are so-and-so and so-and-so. They're hanging out with us. You want some champagne? Get the guy a little drunk. Secret cameras rolling. And then the girls come in, do their deed with the guy. And then Epstein comes in, sits down and goes, those girls were 15 years old, and I got you on camera. You'll do whatever I say from now on. That's one of the conspiracies. So I think that's probably a lot of what he did. Like, he would trick these guys. But I also think it's also true that a lot of these guys were like, don't know, don't care.
Yeah.
Or they knew, right? So I think Prince Andrew knew exactly what he was doing. Because you look at that photo of him with Virginia Giuffre, and he's like smiling and looking at the camera, and it's like, oh, he knows exactly what he's doing. Like that young girl right there, come on. I do think she's 20.
I do feel like it's a really dumb move to allow yourself to be photographed with an underage girl like that. Especially when you're, if it's not in a public setting, if it's at someone's private home, like that's a dumb move.
Unless Epstein went to Andrew and said, you will take the photograph.
I mean, that could be, yeah.
Even more bad PR for the royal family at this point. Just seems like we're kicking a dead horse. It's a really sad state of affairs for the royal family. Who's the current, is it Prince or King Charles?
King Charles.
Who's in charge now. But seeing from like when he grew up, he's 80 or 90 some odd years. I'm no historian for the royal family. It's like a seriously sad state of affairs because over the course of his life, he saw the role of the monarchy just completely diminish, see their empire completely
part of it, though.
flounder. And now the relatives of his family, what are they best known for in our generation? It's for taking part in these underage sex scandals. And it's a sad state of affairs for the face of the royal family because this used to be the most prestigious royal family, the crown, and was the most powerful country at the time with their British East India Company, and that wasn't too long ago. And to see the status of the royal family right now and the direction that the UK is going in, it's a very, very sad state of affairs.
If I had one wish, if a genie appeared before me, I'd say I'd like to briefly go back in time to 1780 to stand before King George III and show him what becomes of his empire and his family, but for a fleeting moment. Just like the war ends instantly, he gives up, the empire crumbles, the man falls into a deep depression. This is what your legacy will be. Congratulations.
Yeah. It's not just losing to the colonies. It's Meghan Markle's pasta on Netflix.
Well, it's like also what's become of the UK? What is London? What does London have to show for itself? It doesn't feel British over there, and I don't think the country will last in its native Western self for very much longer.
That is true about London. I visited it on my honeymoon, and it is probably the most Islamic place I've ever been in my. And I was just in a random
great falafel
spot. Yeah, true. But like it's completely different. But the thing is, that's the economic engine of the UK. I think if you take London away, a third of their GDP goes away, and they end up dropping like 30 slots in terms of the size of their economy. So like the UK is essentially a third world country with a super financial city attached to it on like one end. It is actually really sad what's happening in the UK, even separate from this guy. First of all, it's embarrassing that the prince can't even lie. Like that interview where he was denying it and he's sweating. It was like,
Isn't England supposed to be a Christian nation, like founded in their document through the royal family?
the Church of England.
So, I mean, fundamentally, I think that's going to change as the population shifts in England, and it might be the first Islamic country in Europe. I don't know if that's true.
Could you imagine?
The royal family is the and there's countries that are more Islamic than the UK and Europe right now, but the royal family is the head of the Church of England. So they're like the Pope, where they're a king or queen on one end, but also the head of the church, and that's like completely fallen by the wayside. Like they have a state mandated religion, and they're more secular than the United States.
This is a half joke, but like, what do you think would have happened if Prince Andrew in the interview, when the lady said, "You're being accused of sleeping with underage girls," like, what if he just went, "I'm Muslim"? Like, she would have immediately shut up. And
What do you mean by underage?
No. Like, so
Let's say something about the prophet. You know, if he was able to do it.
I'm Muslim. What are you insinuating?
Yeah.
It's like, you're Muslim? Yes, I converted. What are you insinuating? Are you insulting the prophet? She'd be like, no. I'm so sorry. I'll never ask you again. And they would have immediately dropped everything. And then in the United States, we'd still be going like, holy crap.
Exactly.
But not in the UK. I mean, that was just out. It's like, at that point, if you say anything, you go to prison.
Didn't they say he had some crazy sweating medical condition or
Yes.
something like that? And then people found all these other interviews where he was not sweating at all, like before and after, and it was supposed to be incurable, but they're like, oh no, it was not there then.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.